Okay, on this next part, we're going to have to think about domain because we're not actually evaluating this at a certain spot. We're evaluating it for x. And I don't know that we'll test over this necessarily, but you're going to have to know how to do this for college algebra, so that's why I'm introducing it to you. So, on this one, the domain of f, let's think about that. If I graphed square root x, it would look like this. This means that I only have values for x from 0 to infinity. So the domain of f is going to be 0 to infinity. Let's think about what this one looks like. This is a linear. It looks like that. It goes negative infinity to infinity. But we can only evaluate things for where these two graphs intersect. And the only places they intersect is over in this part right here. I can't add something to this because there's nothing on this function. So to start with, both of these problems are going to have a domain of 0 to infinity because that's where the graphs cross. Now, with composition, we may have to go tweak these, and we'll talk about that. So, f of g of x. My domain is going to come from the domain of the domain. That means whatever this domain is, that's where we're going to start. Negative infinity to infinity. So I'm going to have f of x minus 3. And then I'm going to put the x minus 3 under the square root x. So this time, it's not going to be negative infinity to infinity. The first number that I could actually have is 3. It's okay to have a 0 under here, but it's not okay to have a negative under here. So this has to change and go from 3 to infinity. If I put a number smaller than 3 in here, 2 minus 3 would be negative 1. And you can't have a negative under a radical. Okay, let's think about the next one. G of f of x. So I'm going to have the f function inside here. And I'm going to put this as the domain into the g function. So I have square root x minus 3. So the new function domain is going to come from the domain, the inside part, the f part. So it's okay as 0 to infinity. I know this seems a little foggy, but I think it'll make more sense when we go down and do the graphing part. Okay, here I'm going to find f of g of 7. So I'm going to start by putting the g function with 7 in place of x. So I have f of 4. And now I'm going to go put 4 into the f function. And the f function is the square root of x, so it's the square root of 4, which is 2. The last one is f of 81. So I'm going to start by putting 81 into the f function. The f function is the square root of x, so I'm going to have the square root of 81, which is 9. Now I'm going to put 9 into the f function. And the f function is the square root of x. In the place of x, I'm going to put a 9, so my answer is 3.